AdaDerana 24, Sri Lanka's news channel.
A very good day to all of our viewers who have joined with us here on AdaDerana 24 for a very special discussion on Sri Lanka's economy as well as, regional economies around the island and of course Sri Lanka's way forward in order to achieve economic development. And to talk about this topic, we have with us a very special guest, business and financial advisor, Mr. Adrian Perera, who is here with us in our studios. Thank you for joining us today for this special discussion.
Thank you very much for calling.
So, Mr. Perera, I mean, we are in a very special time in Sri Lanka as well as I think globally, where I think even recently the International Monetary Finance Fund said that, there is going to be, certain threats or certain areas that the economy, the macroeconomy is going to be impacted with the trade war going on in the United States. So I was wondering in this context, how will Sri Lanka be impacted? Will Sri Lanka be impacted in a scenario like this?
Okay, if you look at the global macroeconomic scenario, let's be realistic. Trump is threatening China. And again, when you go to China, he could say changes his word, okay, we are willing to negotiate. So, which is very unlikely US will impose sanctions, stringent sanctions, some sanctions they might put and China will retaliate against China. So, they will be talking, Trump is also, it's a political talk, he's also, you have to understand, he has become a political animal. End of the day, he also needs votes, so he is also talking. And these two countries, China and US, are interdependent. They live on each other. One is living on exports, other one is living on funds. So it's very unlikely. Now the good thing is, now Trump has said he is willing to negotiate, go back to the negotiating table. That's the first thing. And you also can see how things are changing. Trump was willing to cross over even to North Korea and shake hands with the North Korean leader. So there are positive things. Negative, it's not the negative things. We also have to understand the world is changing. It's highly interlinked, like Facebook, all the internet, global trade, everything. Now yesterday we saw that Facebook, there was a issue with Facebook people, and it became a global issue, and everybody is trying to address that one.
Yes.
So if you can't access Facebook for 5 minutes, it is a global issue. So for some we might think it's nothing, but for developed countries it might be a big thing. So those are things. I think these kind of changes are there due to globalization. We can call it globalization, we can call it a different name, right? But end of the day, those things are impacting Sri Lanka also. Terrorism is now it's considered a normal thing. Every country is faced with it. So we have to learn to live with that one. Now we were shielded from tsunami. We didn't know tsunami before 2005. Now everybody knows that a tsunami is a normal thing. Earthquakes, terrorism. So we have to adjust ourselves, put our businesses, everything else, adjust ourselves to those things. So we should not be complacent and say, look, Sri Lanka is shielded. We are an island nation. We are no longer having problems. We finished the war. No. Sri Lanka as a country is also going to face the same issues India is facing, Pakistan is facing, US is facing. So we can't isolate ourselves from those things. The same way, when you look at the macro fundamentals, yes, China is getting welfare. This one belt, one road is there. Then there are other issues. They are becoming stronger. Russia is getting, Middle East, Africa, US, Europe has its own set of problems.
Yes.
UK has its own set of problems. So these things are going to impact us. So I think we need to adjust ourselves, and our economy needs to be resilient and to accept those things as facts.
Yes, it's interesting that you mentioned the One Belt, One Road initiative, because there are many initiatives that are coming into Sri Lanka that were in the pipeline, in order to develop our infrastructure, our capital in the country. But given the recent events that has taken place, we've had tourism industry has seen an impact owing to the recent events. Do you think that we've actually we're able to have investor confidence or to promote investor confidence for them to come here and invest. Do you think we're doing a good job in terms of this?
Okay, let's look at this way. There are two things.
Yes.
One thing is terrorism impact, the April 21st issue. The other one is investor confidence. Now, like I said, terrorism is a given thing in Sri Lanka, whether in Sri Lanka or anywhere in the world. So, we can't accept, we can't say no, it's no longer there. Because these guys they are not real estate oriented, they are in a different tangent. So, it's a normal thing. So, we have to gear ourselves, our business must be gear ourselves for those things. Investor confidence is a different angle. Investor confidence is it depends on how the political sources express themselves. So, if one politician goes and says is black, another one is red, then there are two. Especially now we have seen in Sri Lanka continuously, when the previous government in power, this government, certain politicians went public and give negative opinions and all that. When this government is in power, the previous guys are going and publishing, going media and slanging. All these people are slandering mud at Sri Lanka, and they come under they put themselves aboard patriotic. Right? For their narrow political gains, they are slandering Sri Lanka, and innocent people are suffering. So, my earnest appeal is, they can slaughter each other, but don't slander Sri Lanka.
And I think also what is important, I suppose, is having a common objective or a common policy that that the country is driven towards one direction. May I have your thoughts about this? Do you think we have a common economic goal or an economic vision that we can all go to in order to, develop our economy?
Yes, I think that is another thing that we have, Sri Lanka always, our economic goals change. Those days only we should change after general election, Now it changes even after the provincial council, local council election. You saw how it changed from after the February local council election. So we change our policies depending on who wins the provincial council or local. Provincial council has not come yet, local government election came and a lot of policies changed. So if the country is going to change from policy A to policy B, or complete U-turn if they do it, then of course investors are going to have a problem. Any long-term investor is going to think twice, irrespective of the party. If these guys come and change the policy, what is stopping us? What is stopping the previous next guy coming in and changing the policy? Then where are our money going to be? So they are going to have that policy thinking, and they are immediately going to go for a political risk, which is going to increase the investment cost significantly. So I think what we need to look, Sri Lanka as a country, politicians, if the good policies are, let it go, continue, irrespective of who started it, it doesn't matter, it is for the country. Now we saw the same thing when it comes to infrastructure development. We slandered China for saying they are debt trapped and all that. Again we are going and asking China money.
Yes.
So if somebody is trapping us for debt, why do you need to go to the same person to ask money?
Yes.
Right? So we don't need to do that. Normally we don't do it in personal life also we don't do. We don't go to them. And again we are going. So I think we need to get our act together as a country, I think more than the business is the politicians. The private sector need to stop giving negative thoughts and supporting these politicians, because they are one of the biggest culprits who are supporting these kind of political initiatives. For their narrow margins, they will do that, narrow ideas, they will go and support this political party and that political party and say, no, we shouldn't support the Chinese, we shouldn't support the Americans, we shouldn't support the Indians. That's not the way. If it's a country, if it's a good thing, follow that. There are issues, address that. That's a normal thing.
Yes.
Or any investment, any business policy has political, there are pluses and minuses. Address them. Without that, we just go and abruptly cancel, change policies. So the investor is wondering, when it comes to investment, where are we going to stand?
Yes.
What is stopping us? The next guy changing again the thing.
Exactly. And I would like to touch on how the private sector can be more involved in in developing the economy and working together. But before that, we will cross over to a short commercial break and we will join you with more on this topic. So make sure you stay tuned.
AdaDerana 24, Sri Lanka's news channel.
Well, once again, a very good day to our viewers who have joined with us here, and welcome back to this very special program on Sri Lanka's economy. And today we have with us, for those who have just joined us, a very special guest here at our studios, business and financial advisor, Adrian Perera. We were earlier talking about how the private sector must also work with the government in order to bring more investment into the country. What is the best way to encourage the private sector to promote investment and bring in foreign direct investment into the country? Do you think we are doing it the right way? What is the strategy that we could actually use?
No, I think we are not doing the right way.
Yes.
I think the first thing is, before foreigners come and invest, we must invest. The issue is we don't have the confidence to invest. We are expecting the foreigners to come and invest. We talk in forums, but our companies are not investing. So I think important thing is the private sector must first start investing.
A proactive approach by the private
sector.
sector.
Then
Yes.
only the foreigners will think, look, these guys are investing, why not we also will? So most of the time, the private sector does is they tell others to come and invest, we are not investing. We scale down on investments. We ask for bailouts, we ask for doleouts. It's not going to work. Foreigners will say, the locals are not having confidence, why should we go and invest?
Yes.
So I think the private sector needs that initiative on that side. So that is the first step.
Yes.
So and the government must give priority to the locals first, not to the foreigners. It's lopsided. Government gives priority to the foreigners, not to the locals. So that should not happen.
And then I would like your thoughts on, going with an export-driven economy, which also I believe is somewhat linked to having foreign companies also coming to Sri Lanka and maybe helping or assisting in this area. How can we improve our export sector, which I believe is also important even for areas outside the Western province as well?
Yeah, I think that's a very good thing. Export driven is a way forward, but it's a long process, because by the time you set up the factory but I think the private sector needs to look at not setting up factories only in the Western province, but in other provinces also, Jaffna, down south, Kandy, Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa. But the reality is most of the factories and industries are set up in Western province. That is the highest GDP, and other provinces are facing these issues. So I think we need to look at, our private sector to look at setting up factories. There are issues, you need to address those issues. There is no easy way out. This is how India has done, all the provinces are developing. There are rural economies, but they are developing. So we need to address those issues also. If you don't go there, we won't know the issues also.
And I believe there is lots of untapped potential. I mean, one of the areas I believe that is somewhere that you went to was Jaffna as well. Can we talk a bit about that? It is an untapped location, we could say that definitely, having it gone through a 30-year war. What is the economy like there? How are the people managing?
I think the economy is good. I'm not saying bad. There is a certain level of poverty there. But Jaffna we have invested into hotels, we are expanding. Next week the first private sector led business conference is there. So we hope the private sector Colombo chambers will join us, because they want to, instead of having Colombo, all the business conferences in Colombo is a potential to bring in businesses to Jaffna. So we are having a business conference, so it is on 12th and 13th. Central Bank Governor is the chief guest. So there is a lot of potential. I think Jaffna is an untapped region. War is gone, bygones are bygones. It's after 10 years now, it's almost 10 years since the war is finished. Agriculture, tourism, education, so a lot of potential. So I think these industries and definitely industries, they are a potential, so private sector must go there. So personally, the private sector is also very lethargic in Sri Lanka. They, like I said, they want to bailouts and doleouts. They are not willing to take challenges. They prefer to stay in Colombo. So that is not going to work going forward.
Yes.
Because either we compete in the red ocean or we compete in the blue ocean. So we have to look at which. So, I think important that we look at the blue ocean and take corrective action immediately, because otherwise it's all, everything is going to be Western province. I mean, it's not going to, like I said, red ocean, we are going to kill each other.
And I would also like to talk about the skill sector development, because I think one of the important things when it even comes to rural areas is developing the skills of the people and giving equal opportunity for those in the rural sector as well. So how can we develop this area? Because I think that is pivotal if you want to create jobs as well as, you know, have qualified individuals to take part in the workforce.
Yeah, I think that is very important. I agree. Now, that's what I said. We expect people to come from Jaffna. One need to come to Colombo, find employment, find accommodation to work in Colombo. It is a cost for these guys. And when there are girls and all, it's very difficult to find accommodation. So you need to. So I think that's why we are keen that Jaffna and the north other provinces also develop. That's why we in our conference, CMA, ACCA and CPM, both these three professional bodies have joined us to bring education and a skill development to Jaffna. So which I think is an essential thing if the country is to go forward. That for that we need to take business to those. Otherwise, we are expecting Colombo, everybody is Colombo, and end of the day, the cost of labor cost is going to go up. Employment cost is definitely, remuneration is, because it's a small market, so when they come, they are going to ask higher salaries. So why not we set up under Premadasa regime, there was 100 factories all over the country. So after that it died down, so we don't need to look at government, and even IT. Now the IT technology is developed, internet is fast, I mean, that's not a major thing. So we can set up BP operations there, it's always connectivity is there. So those connectivity, addressing connectivity is not an issue, electricity is not an issue, water is not, there are certain regions water is an issue but can be addressed. So I think if we take these industries, some of these BPO industries with regions, there are a lot of talented people in the northern province and eastern province and north central provinces, young people. So we need to make use of them.
So it's basically in making sure that we get the opportunity to actually enhance their skills and sector and go forward. So as you mentioned earlier, there is an interesting event that is coming up, the annual Yal Panam Business Conference, where I believe the private sector, like yourself, also is coming forward to help the area of Jaffna. Why particularly Jaffna, if I could ask you that question? And also, you know, what initiative is going to take place?
No, when we took over, we decided instead of waiting others to come and have promoting, saying bring MICE conference to Jaffna, first we will take the initiative. First MICE conference in Jaffna, because all the conferences are in. Then that is, we decided, okay, we will go to Jaffna and we will set up the first MICE conference. So now today, on next week, we are having the conference, the 12th and 13th. Like I said, Central Bank Governor is the chief guest, and there are also other academics, business people. We are joining with the Jaffna Chamber of Commerce and Jaffna Managers Forum. CMA, ACCA and CPM Sri Lanka is joining us. So that's a very good, we took the initiative, and that's I think it's a very bold, we took that bold decision, and management was backing up. So that, I mean, they gave us a full support to go ahead and do it. So I think that, we expect the private sector from Colombo to contribute and come to Jaffna and see what Jaffna is, see what are the potential or what are the issues are. So private sector can contribute instead of waiting for government to solve all their problems. Government can't solve everybody's problems. So the issue is, we are expecting the government to solve everybody's problems and solve all the problems, which is not going to happen. So I think the private sector needs to take that initiative. We took instead of preaching, we must walk the talk. So we decided to do that one. So that's a challenge, and I'm sure it will be a success. We are going to make sure it's going to be a success. So that will address, at least it will, the first time it will be a successful one. I'm sure it is. So far the vibes are that.
So basically what we can say is the private sector has to come forward and of course give a helping hand to develop not only the Western Province but also the rural economy as well in Jaffna and Eastern Province. But thank you very much Mr. Adrian Perera for joining us on this special program, and we wish to thank our viewers for joining us in this fruitful discussion. We wish you a very pleasant day.
AdaDerana 24, Sri Lanka's news channel.